And now, here's part 2 of the Buckeye Leafcast, where Chris and I continue our discussion of the Purdue game, as well as get into a few scenarios, including how many more games will the Buckeyes drop? Where do the Buckeyes go after this loss to Purdue? Has the coaching staff given up? And are those smelly rodents from up north the best team in the Big Ten? Here we go. So, after this game, hindsight being 2020, what you saw last year after the Iowa 12-2, Big Ten champs, beat Michigan, destroyed Michigan State, beat up USC in the Cotton Bowl in a New Year's Six game. Does Ohio State have that in their arsenal to finish out this year?
I think it's certainly possible. Certainly possible. I kind of think this is the year, though, that it doesn't happen. I mean, I don't think so either. I don't see them beating Michigan. This is before the Purdue loss. I mean,
You called it.
I've got it written down. I've got it called. Even prior to the Purdue game, I was saying Ohio State will lose to Michigan this year.
And why is that?
Well, for one, I think that defense is going to embarrass this offensive line. If they're struggling to block Purdue, who frankly doesn't have a good defense, I mean, they're going to get embarrassed by Michigan's defense. It's going to be like shades of 2006 national title game versus the Gators kind of.
And you know what? You know what, Chris? I think they could get embarrassed against Michigan State's
right. To be honest,
in East Lansing.
They could lose to Maryland. I mean, Maryland is not a bad team.
Yeah, I don't want to get crazy, but I mean, you've got a point. I mean, let's face it.
In the games that they've lost, and the games that they've won, Maryland's not terrible. If Purdue can beat the doors off Ohio State, Maryland could certainly score one more point than Ohio State. I mean, I'm not calling for it or anything, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility. I do see them lose. I think they probably lose to Michigan, and it's dropping to Michigan State or Maryland is possible.
Well, this is a Maryland team. I mean, they're 4-3 right now overall, 2-2 in the conference. But we're talking about a Maryland team that did beat Texas the last couple of years. Granted, got smacked. Yeah. I mean, Texas is Texas. Texas right now, a top 10 team. Their only loss on the season is the friggin' Maryland. Yeah. Maryland. So, I know. Of course, they just got blanked against Iowa. I mean, they went to Iowa City and got smacked 23-0 Iowa. Would that not be fun? Would that not be fun if Ohio State, let's just say, Chris, let's just say that the Buckeyes went out and Iowa right now, along with, believe it or not, Northwestern, and I believe Purdue, they're all in the driver's seat right now in the West Division to win the Big Ten West. Would that not be fun if Ohio State wins out, Iowa wins out, and the Buckeyes and the Hawkeyes take on each other for the Big Ten championship? How likely is that?
I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, I think Iowa's got a pretty decent chance of winning the West, and I think Ohio State's got a pretty decent chance of winning the East.
Oh, great chance. Yes,
but
sir.
I'm not calling it. I'm calling from, well, the thing is, they could even, I think Michigan will probably win the East, but, Michigan has some games to win. It's not going to be easy.
Michigan still has to play Penn State and Ohio State. Now, Penn State in their own stadium and the Buckeyes in the Horseshoe.
Right. So, but Penn State's out, though, so that's the thing. So even if they lose to Penn State, Michigan can lose to Penn State and still win the Eastern Division.
what do we want to see out of Ohio State? I mean, what do we want to see? What are realistic expectations out of this Ohio State team after seeing what we saw in the beginning of the year, now what we're seeing right now, what we're hearing out of reports of dissension among the ranks and blah, 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 knowing that they got a bye this coming weekend. Then they have Nebraska at home after that, a very weak Nebraska team who somehow beat the crap out of Minnesota, something that Ohio State couldn't do. But then they got to travel to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. Then they got to travel the next weekend after that to a Maryland team who you're saying may very well beat Ohio State. And then you got you-know-who at the end of the season. What is a realistic expectation?
Expectations, I have no friggin' idea. What do I want to see? I want to see changes. You know, they need to make changes. So there's basically, you know, there's three things you can do. You could sit back and say, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and the players just got to execute. I'm going to be really pissed off if that's their attitude, if that's their strategy. You could say, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but we're going to try some other guys. We're going to bring in some different personnel and see if they can get it done. You can say, we're going to change our scheme. We're going to try different plays, different strategies, that sort of thing. Or some combination of those two. So I just don't want to see them come out and say, like, you know what? Because what they've been saying so far is there's nothing wrong with our scheme. There's nothing wrong with our players. They're just not executing. And, you know, it's like you said, Shano doesn't give a crap. He's just going to run. He's like, I don't care if it's working or not. I'm just going to keep calling it over and over again. And it's like,
that's what I see. Yes. That's just how I feel Greg Schiano is this year. He's just like, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
I heard, like, Dave Biddle from Bucknuts made the analogy of a pitcher that falls in love with his fastball and doesn't want to throw anything but the fastball. That's kind of what Schiano is right now. He's, like, falling in love with that defense, and he's like, I don't give a shit. That's what I'm going to do. You're going to get this pitch over and over again.
I don't even think he's fallen in love with it. I just think he's just like, whatever. I don't care. I'm just whatever. Bleh. I should be a head coach at Tennessee this year. I don't give a crap. I'm just going to keep calling the same thing over and over and over. I'm going to get through this year, and I'm going to get the hell out of here and quit being a defensive coordinator. I'm just going to get the hell out of here because I'm sick of this.
I mean, I personally don't think that's what's going on, but I do think he's not being a very good defensive coordinator. I will say that. I want them to make some changes. And if they don't come out making changes, that's going to be the thing that'll pit. If they make changes that don't work, so be it. What you were doing wasn't working either, though. You know what I mean? So we already know that doesn't work. So let's try something else and see if that'll work. So that's what I want to see. And will they do it? I don't know. I mean, they've been stubborn as you could possibly be to this point, refusing to change anything. And you know, if losing, you know, to a 4-3 team by 29 points wasn't enough to tell them they need to do something different, then I don't know what will be. So that'll be the tell. If they come out and they're just doing what they did before, you know, then it's time to just accept that we're not winning the Big Ten, accept that this is the year, you know, the Fighting Khakis get their victory and settle for some crap bowl, you know, and hope next year that when they're seasoned, they do better, because that's pretty much where we're at. So, you know, hopefully they'll turn it around. There's still a chance for them to do that. There's still a chance for them to and, you know, they have this bye week. They have then, as far as I'm concerned, and maybe this is crazy after they just, you know, pounded Minnesota, but, like, Nebraska is not good. They're not good. So, honestly, I feel like Ohio State, whatever it is they feel they need to do differently, like maybe they need some scheme changes, maybe they need to get back to basics, whatever it is they feel like they need to do, they basically have 3 weeks to work on it. Because, you know, they don't have another real game. You know, they have like a practice against Nebraska, and then they have Michigan State. So they have 3 weeks to get ready for Michigan State. They have time right now. If they want to say, hey, you know what, we're going to have, like, you know how you put stuff in fall camp, or you put stuff in spring. They have they have 3 weeks right here in the middle of the season to put in something. You know, let's put in a new offense. Let's put in a new defense, and let's try out some new players, and get them up to speed. Whatever it is they decide to do, they've got the opportunity right here. They have 3 weeks before it gets real. So let's see what they do. Your move, Meyer.
Well, if I can speak so boldly, I'm going to keep the faith, and I know that Urban, yes, 2014, 2015, last year, after we see them getting their butt kicked, they respond. I don't think this is the same Urban Meyer. I think this is a beat-up Urban Meyer. I think the coaching staff, they don't care. The players, all of them, they're just getting by. I mean, seriously, Chris, Nick Bosa just decides,
Dude,
I'm
he's
out.
a captain. I get not wanting to injure yourself. If I had $30 million waiting for me and an injury could ruin that, and I've only, sometimes, all it takes is one play and your career is over. You know what I mean? And you just lost that chance for $30 million. It's gone forever. That happens. I can get that, like, not wanting to injure yourself. But you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave the team. He can train and get ready for the draft in Columbus. He was a freaking captain.
Not only leave the team and you're a captain, but leave school.
Yeah, you'll get no argument from me. I mean, I think that is where we're at. A program like Ohio State, a program that Urban Meyer, the program he's running, goes after these elite kids who they all think they're going to the NFL, even the ones that aren't going to. Obviously they don't all end up going, but they all, when they come to Ohio State, think they're going to be going to the NFL. And yeah, I mean, I think more of it's coming. I mean, this is just sauce for the goose at this point.
I mean, it is what it is, and I guess
Andy, the alternative is you recruit 3-star kids who don't have any illusions about playing in the NFL, and they stay for 4 or 5 years, and occasionally you have a good run, and you maybe win a Big Ten title.
And occasionally, maybe you knock off a second-ranked, undefeated Ohio State team on your own field.
But that's about, you're never going to really make any noise in the playoffs, or and you're not going to win the Big Ten most years, even with that strategy. That's the alternative, unfortunately, in today's game.
Chris, we got a bye week this week, thank God. I think that the Buckeyes will need this going into a home game there on November 3rd against Nebraska. Your summation of their game against the Cornhuskers. I mean, we're talking about a Cornhuskers team, Chris, like we said before. They had 0 wins on the season, finally got one at home against a Minnesota team that Ohio State had trouble against at home. Do the Buckeyes take care of business against the Cornhuskers?
Yes, in a word.
Period.
Yeah.
That's our summation there.
Nebraska is not good, despite what they did to Minnesota. They're not good. And I think that you're not going to see an Ohio State team that is lacking in motivation this week. They may have been lacking in motivation some of these other weeks. This is not one of those weeks. So, and they're going to have 2 weeks to get healthy, rested, and to let that anger build up inside them. And they're going to take some frustration out on the Cornhuskers. So I'm not worried about this one at all.
All right. Yeah, neither am I. I don't necessarily know if I see a 63-3 or 65-10 score, but I think that Ohio State probably beats up on Nebraska about 35 to 31. So
yeah, that's a good point. I should probably make a little prediction. Let's see.
And I said beats up on 35 to 31. That's a 4-point win. My confidence right now in Ohio State is shot. I'll be honest with you, Chris. It's shot. But no, seriously, against Nebraska, I mean, they should beat them, 28 to 13. That's my final score.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking even Wisconsin's anemic offense. Well, no, Wisconsin, they beat them. They scored 41 on them. Purdue scored 42. Of course, we saw how good Purdue was. Michigan at 56. Nebraska's given up a lot of points to pretty much everyone except Minnesota. So I am going to say they're giving up all these. Yeah, Ohio State. I'm going to go with 42 to 17.
All right, I like it. All right, sir, before we get off the microphones here, anything you'd like to tell the fine folks out there where they can find a little more Christophonic in their life?
Absolutely. So I have a personal development podcast called Choice Conversations. And if you would like to hear some more Christophonic and hear how I can help you to improve your life, bring up your podcast app, look for Choice Conversations, you'll find me, or you can go on the web to choiceconversations.com and check it out.
There you go. Check out the intergalactic Buckeye fan himself, Mr. Christophonic, on choiceconversations.com. Hit him up on Twitter at choiceconvo. Many different ways to have an enlightened conversation with the intergalactic Buckeye fan. You can talk about Buckeye football, how bad they suck. I mean, whatever you want to talk about with Mr. Christophonic, he is always willing to have a chat. This as well, brought to you by Christie's Cleaning Services, LLC. It's not clean until it's Christy Clean. Be sure to visit her Facebook page at Christie's Cleaning Services, LLC. It's also brought to you by Columbus Wired, for your premier source for Central Ohio sports in and around the Columbus, Ohio area. Be sure to check us out at columbuswired.net. So there you go. On that note, sir, let's leave like we always do. OH, go Bucks!
I want to go back to Ohio State, to old Columbus town, to the stadium to hear the band, by far the finest in the land. I want to go back to Ohio State, to old Columbus town. I want to go back, I gotta go back to old